Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about God in the mundane. I got the idea for this video while applying my nightly aloe vera. I don't always apply it every night, but on some nights when I remember, I apply aloe vera. It is a cheap form of skincare. Is the cheapest and the only I can afford right now. So I was applying my aloe vera and I had covered every inch of my face. And you know that feeling we get when we finally do something and we just want to do it excessively because this is the one chance we've gotten, so let's just load it on. But as I kept applying it, it just dawned on me that there was nothing else I could do for that particular night. I had applied as much as I was ever gonna get results from on that particular night, and that just applying more, if I scraped more of the gel and applied it, it was not going to make any difference. It was likely not going to make any difference. But if I came back the next night and did the application, and the other night and the night after that, then there might be some benefits to be gleaned, some benefits to reap, some benefits to get from the consistency. And it dawned on me that a lot of life is that way, because many of us, we rely on motivation, we rely on the feeling of motivation to get things done. We rely on positive feelings to get things done. I myself included, right? Myself included. I am the chief priest in quote of that kind of behavior, but I'm trying to learn not to act that way. So we rely on the motivation, on the energy in quote, to feel good in order to do things. And because it rarely happens, when it happens, we want to get the most out of it, we want to maximize it, right? But the truth is that we are not gonna get any results from maximizing, you know from maximal there's let me just the truth is that there's no shortcut. There is rarely a shortcut to our goals. If you want your skin to be great and you have the money and you buy skincare products, you have to come back nightly to do the same thing over and over. And it is in the mundane. It's in the mundanity of daily or nightly application or rituals in quote. It is in the mundanity, in turning in daily, that the divine happens. And in this case, I'm using divine broadly. Divine is, in the case of skincare, divine is when you start to see results, right? In the case of making a YouTube video, being a creator, being an artist, the divine is when your work starts to pick up, right? When there's like an up, like when there's an uptick of interest in your work, that is when divine happens. And because I like to draw I like to draw from the Bible and from folklores, I'm gonna ask us, if you know the Bible story, to cast your mind back to the story of how Jesus Christ called Peter and Andrew. It was in the mundanity, in the should I say drudgery of their everyday life as fishermen. They had been fishing for a while and they hadn't caught anything, but they had turned in that day. They did not know whether they were going to catch anything, but they had turned in and they didn't catch anything. It was while they were in that scenario that Jesus Christ came and he asked them to let down their net, and lots and lots of fish. They caught lots and lots of fish, and they were called into a higher purpose from what happened to be the mundane. There's so many examples of that in the Bible. There is the case of Moses tending to his father-in-law's flock when he encountered God. There is David in the wilderness taking care of his father's, I think sheep, when he was called to become a king. There are so many stories of that, of God meeting us in our everyday life. Many of us, we want the divine, we crave it, and we think that we are going to get it by cutting ourselves, by removing ourselves from what we think is you know, the drudgery of daily life, the drudgery of human life. We are so above it. Oh my God, we're so above it. We're so above turning in daily. I myself, I have to talk myself into turning in daily. We're so above it. We think that it's by, you know, acting all, you know, I don't know, sanctimonious. I don't know that sanctimonious is the right word to use in this scenario, but it's by, we think it's by, you know, looking for shortcuts, you know, to bypass the process that we encounter the divine. But most times it is while in the process of, you know, our everyday life. It's while we are in the process of our everyday struggles that we encounter the divine. It is while we are making our videos daily, whether we feel like it or not. Like now, I do not feel like making this video at all. I did not feel like, you know, wearing my wig and sitting here. I did not, but I showed up to make this video because I know that I want to eventually grow my channel, and I will not grow it by not making videos. Yeah, so I have to show up. It is the same for a lot of life. It is the same for building relationships. It is the same for a lot of things, really. It's the same for art. It's the same for our goals and aspirations. We meet God, we meet the divine while in the process, while in the drudgery, while in the, you know, while rolling up the ball, you know, in like Sisyphus, while rolling up the ball. It is while we are in the process of doing something so mundane that God encounters us most of the times. It is while we are in the process. And this reminds me of an African folklore. I really cannot remember the story exactly, but there was this, it's a story about like a young girl that was, you know, like I think she lost her mom, and her stepmother was maltreating her. And so she was the one in charge of doing everything for the family. She was the one in charge of taking their clothes to the river banks to wash and then drying them and bringing it back. And so it was while I cannot really remember the story properly. So if you know a different version, yeah, that is just how folklores evolve. Okay, so it was while in the process of washing her family's clothes that she encountered a mermaid, right? And this mermaid, you know, captured her and took her to the underworld, to their watery, you know, to their world under the ocean. So under the river, whatever. And while she was there, when she took her there, eventually she was like, oh, I need to go back home. And she pleaded her case. And she was like, and the mermaid was like, okay, I've been watching you, you're a good person, blah blah blah, and gave her like lots of gifts to go back to the world, to the other world, to her world. And so when she got to her world, she realized that years had gone by. She had been missing for years, something that was only a few minutes, right? But she had been missing for years. And everybody was like, oh my God, what happened to you? What happened to you? She was like, oh, I went to the underworld. The mermaids gave me this, lots of gifts, you know, and they said I should open it when I'm alone in my room or whatever. And so she eventually opened the box, and lots of gold and diamond and all precious stones, right? And she became very wealthy. And so her stepsister wanted the same thing. Her stepsister wanted the same story, of course. She wanted to have what she had, right? And so the stepsister went by the riverbank and was screaming, oh, that the mermaids should come and take her. And so the mermaids took her, and they gave her her own box. And when she came back out, yeah, they told her, lock the room. When you're going to open it, make sure you're alone, lock the room, blah blah blah, and then you're going to get your gifts. And when she came back to her own world, and then she opened the gifts, the box, it was full of all sorts of horrible, monstrous creatures that devoured her. You know, that's how folklores really are. And the moral of the folklore at the time that it was told to me was that, you know, we should not covet someone else's part. And I also think that it also kind of um, points to what I'm talking about the process. She wanted, in a way, the stepsister wanted to bypass the process. These mermaids had been watching her sister walk for a while. They knew her, that she came to the stream to wash and sing and whatever. They didn't know the stepsister, right? And so this is just a call to us to not despise the little beginnings, to not despise the lowly efforts of our daily life. This is not to say that we should, suffer in everything. This is not to say that we should take the long road for everything, but we should not also go to extreme and want to, you know, bypass everything, or use shortcuts for everything. It is while on the road, it is while in the process of humanity that we encounter the divine. And I think, and I might be wrong, right, I might be wrong, but I also postulate and I theorize that that is also part of the sin, the original sin of of the first couple in the Bible. They had a daily routine, sort of going to meet God in the evening hour and communing with him, and then someone else comes, a serpent comes and say, oh, you don't have to worry about that, you can just eat this fruit and you're going to be God yourself. By trying to bypass the process of meeting with divinity, by trying to bypass the process and just get into godhood, when I don't think they had been, they had spent a lot of time on the road to godhood. By trying to bypass the process, I think that that is one of the sins and one of the grave errors of the first couple. I might be wrong, I'm not a theologian, I'm just someone that really enjoys Bible stories and, mythology and all that. And I think that they hold a lot of morals and a lot of guidance for us in the modern world. So anyways, that's all I have to share for today. Thank you so much for tuning in once again to watch my videos. I am so honored. Anyways, see you in the next video. Bye.